All right, so first things first, I'm a fan of Sean Gordon Murphy, um, of his artwork ever since was it Tokyo Ghost? Was that like the big first one he did, or the one that was a little more known? I don't know, but the man can draw. He's got a great style. He understands scope. I mean, like look at this cover right here. Like this, this is like Blade Runner. You know, it's got the shadows are really working. The lights popping. And I don't know, he's one of the best in the biz. So I'm gonna preface this with that. I loved um, Batman: The White Knight. I loved Curse of the White Knight a lot. That's one of my favorite stories to come out of comics in the last 10, 15 years because of how he treated Azrael. Azrael is one of my favorite Batman characters of all time. He's never quite gotten a fair shake. And the new Azrael series, the short-lived one, like the 6 issue one that just came out, was not great. Like I couldn't make it through a single issue. I could with the art and the writing. I just ugh. So anyway, I have a lot of respect for Sean Gordon Murphy, but this new installment, Batman Beyond the White Knight, it just finished up at issue 8. That's the end of this run. He's gonna keep going with the White Knight verse, which is cool in its own right if he wants to do it. But this one had issues, and I'm gonna go through a list of well, I'll go with the pros. The pros is the man can draw, and that's about it. I mean, he has interesting takes on the characters, and I use interesting in a specific way here. He usually nails them, and this one I think this was a miss. So without getting too much into it, it's a retelling of Batman Beyond, but it focuses more on Bruce Wayne and him returning as Batman more than it does Terry McGinnis, which is problem number one, I think. Terry's story isn't too different from the original Batman Beyond, except for he was a thief that works for Powers instead of just more of an average kind of high school guy. Terry isn't as likable, um, which is a problem. Uh, anyway, cons. It's very weirdly paced. It's very decompressed, and I hate talking about decompressed storytelling because I like decompressed storytelling if you can make it work. It usually works great in a graphic novel. I don't think it works great in a series like this, which is why our story Kolga is a graphic novel, and there are entire chapters where it's mostly dialogue and talking, but it works not only because it feels like a chapter of a book, but because the dialogue is important and it's moving things along. It's just not sitting there. A lot of To me, a lot of Beyond the White Knight, it feels like there's a rock tied to the story that's just holding it back. And a lot of that has to do with there's so many characters. I mean, he brings back Jason Todd as Red Hood, which and in his universe he made that the first Robin. It's not a bad change, but it didn't really do much. You've got his Robin because when Jason Todd came back to Gotham, he picked up this girl and she became his Robin. There's Duke, who's a Robin. There's Dick Grayson, who's Nightwing. There's Barbara Gordon, who's like head of GCPD now. There's Harley Quinn. There's Jack Napier slash Joker. There's their kids, which we'll just count the daughter because she's the only one that makes like much of a plot in it at all. And then there's Powers, and then there's Terry. So there's like 10 characters going on at once, and you can make that work in a book, but not in this kind of book. I mean, this ran into a lot of what a lot of Batman Incorporated and Bat Family books do, which is just so much going on with so many characters, and it's all centered around Batman. They're all reacting to Batman, but Batman's not really doing much of anything. It's I don't want to spoil it. That's what I'm trying not to do. It's so basically Terry is hired by Powers to steal the new bat suit, and Bruce escapes prison to go after him to get it. which seems simple enough, but there are all these little tiny, threads happen, and it bogs down. Like that, it's literally a story that could have taken place in an issue or an issue or two issues, and it just bogs down so much. I don't know if Sean Gordon Murphy wrote all of this or if he had co-writing, because I don't think he wrote um, the White Knight versus Harley Quinn, which that was another one that was kind of a miss for me, but that was better than this. Again, I hate to down the guy because he's such an amazing artist and he's proven he's a capable writer, but I'd have to give this maybe like a 2.5 out of 5. Like if he hadn't drawn it, I would have given it like a 1 or a half star. I tried my best with this one, and it just it. I guess I'm trying not to spoil anything. It's just it. Even the humor isn't well done. Like the Jack Napier character, which is of course Joker's good side. If you've read White Knight, he's like still trying to be kind of Joker, but keeps saying he hates Joker. He's always making jokes. He's a big Batman fanboy, and he's like a hologram in Batman's head now. And that's not a bad idea. That can work. It's just the execution was really off. His jokes are lame. It seems like every issue has the same setups for every bit of dialogue between Batman and the Joker, and every issue it tries to end on a cliffhanger for some reason. I don't know. It's very formulaic. Every issue is very formulaic. And even the art, and I hate to say this, but it feels like Sean Gordon Murphy phoned it in a little bit with the art, at least with the faces. So many characters have the same face. When they're angry, it's like they have one eye kind of mad, clenched, one of them open, and their mouth is wide open. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a distinctive style, but every character, whenever they get slightly mad, looks like they're yelling and they're making the same face, and it's the same exact structure. Like Batman, Barbara Gordon, Harley Quinn, Terry, they all have the same face whenever they're mad. And that would make sense if it was just like Batman and the Robins, because they were raised by Batman. Maybe some of that leaches off into them, but it just, I think he's doing too much. The guy is a brilliant artist. I can't even draw a stick figure, and here I am trying to say what he's doing wrong, but I think he's trying to do too much right now. And I think this series suffered greatly for it. Now, Josh has a completely different take on it. I think he kind of agrees on some of the story stuff, but I mean, he can push through a story for art because he's an artist. So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not an artist, so I don't know how that goes. But I hate to say it, I can't recommend this book. I have all the issues as far as I can tell. I don't remember much of them because nothing really happens. It falls flat. It falls flat, and I really hope he can recover from this, but I don't know, because the next one is supposed to be like Generation Joker, which is about Joker's daughter and son, and I don't really care for them like as characters, and I don't know if he can write them well. I didn't even finish the White Knight versus Harley Quinn, because that one, I hate to say it, it feels like it was written by a lady writing like a daytime opera or daytime soap opera. It's very much Harley Quinn just thinking in her brain, I can't do this, I can't. It's always complaining and then being told by other people, you can do it, you're great. Even by Batman, which is strange. But he does interesting stuff in this, but it's overall a miss. I wouldn't recommend it. So I would pick it up if you're a fan of his art. These covers are fantastic. Some of the insides are great. The man can draw cars like no one's business, especially the Batmobile. The man can draw every Batmobile better than anybody else. But the writing weighs this down, particularly the way he wrote the Joker, Jack Napier and Batman. They don't feel like Joker and the Batman. And I know it's an alternate universe, but he did a really good job with them on 2 books before this. So I don't think there's any excuse at this point. Okay. So not a recommend. Peace.